I be trying to draw the line, but it's a fine line. And I'm drowning out the noise from the sideline.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my show, From the Sideline. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. On my show, I interview coaches and athletes here at Cal State LA and hope to get to better know them as a person. And on this week's episode, we have a phenomenal interview with Kaelah Basurdo. I want to give a quick round of applause for Kaelah. Really appreciate her making her way down here to interview with me at the Golden Eagle Radio studio. She is a star soccer player here for your Cal State LA women's soccer program. Really appreciate Kaelah taking time out of her day to speak with me and obviously all of us who are out there listening. Before we get into the interview, I want to give a shout out to LAGoldenEagles.com/sports. We do have a game coming up October 27th. That is Thursday at 11:30 a.m. at Cal Poly Pomona. So it is an away game. But if you want to keep refreshing, keep checking out LAGoldenEagles.com/sports. There is a CCAA tournament coming up very, very soon. So we will get an updated schedule hopefully on there as soon as possible. Again, LAGoldenEagles.com/sports. You want to check out any other of our sports that we have here at Cal State LA, any other schedules that might work better for you in terms of making it out to one of our athletic program games. Definitely head over to LAGoldenEagles.com/sports. See if you can make it out to any games coming up soon. And with that being said, without further ado, here is my interview with Kaelah. But where were you born, and then where are you from? Where were you raised?
Okay. I was born in Orange, so not like super far from here. And then I was raised in Fullerton. Lived there most of my life up until I graduated high school, and then we moved to La Habra. But most of the time when people ask, I'm like, yeah, I'm from Fullerton. I grew up there. I went to Fullerton College, so like.
Is Fullerton considered Orange County?
Yeah, it's Orange County.
Orange County kid. Dang.
Yes.
Came to Cal State LA?
Yeah.
Does Cal State Fullerton have a soccer team?
They do have a soccer team, yeah.
Were you interested in trying to go there first?
That was my, first options. It's funny when, We'll
tell everybody at Cal State LA. Kaelah actually didn't want to come here.
No. I think this is a better fit for me.
I got you.
Yeah, it's just, I also knew the coach because I played club soccer. And so the coach, I knew him from that. So I'd known him for, a long time. So I would talk to him occasionally, and sometimes I would talk to the assistant coach, so. Gotcha.
So you were... You said born in Orange, and then you kind of raised in Fullerton. How was that like growing up in Fullerton? I mean, what was your childhood like? Do you have any siblings? What was that like?
I mean, honestly, I had a fun childhood, I would say. I lived next to a school, and so, I do have siblings. I have 3 siblings. I have an older brother, and then it's me, and then a younger brother, and then my sister is the youngest. And so we would always just go and, play at the school on Sundays. Some of my favorite memories are Sundays because my dad would go play soccer, and then me and my siblings would go play, and we had neighbors. So there was, a family of boy neighbors, and they were, my brother's friends. And then we had next-door neighbors that had a bunch of girls, and they were me and my sister's friends. And everyone had someone their age, and we would go and play at the school and play on the playground.
The dream scenario there.
It was perfect. We would just go hang out every Sunday, sometimes during the week. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. So you said your dad played a little bit of soccer, kind of adult Sunday leagues.
Yeah.
Was he a big soccer fan?
Oh, yeah, he's a huge soccer fan. Yeah, he grew up in Mexico, and he grew up playing over there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he came, and he went to school in Mexico, and went his master's here, and he's just been playing soccer his whole life. And so all of my siblings played soccer. I'm the only one that really continued with it, but we all played soccer growing up, and we all loved it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear people have that, because I know there's different athletes who experience different things growing up. Like for me personally, as an athlete, I was a basketball player a little bit, and so, but I didn't get it from my parents or anything. My dad was a football player a little bit in high school, but he never was a super dedicated athlete in any sport. So it's super interesting to hear you got it directly pretty much from your dad, right?
Yeah.
And luckily you fell in love with it, because I think that's the part of the battle too. I know when I get a kid eventually, hopefully I have a child at some point, I'm going to try to make them play basketball a little bit. But the truth is they might not like it. So the fact that you and all your siblings, did your siblings like playing soccer as well?
Yeah, they all really liked playing soccer. I think probably my youngest brother was the least interested. He's just very much a social person. So we used to make fun, because he would stop and talk to people. And it's well, you can't really do that when in the middle of a soccer game. But they all liked it. And we all played up until I want to say our teen years, early teen years at least. So we all played a decent amount of time.
Are you guys close in age?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're all pretty close in age.
So how many years apart?
Me and my older brother are only a year and a half apart.
Oh,
and then my younger brother, I'm 2 years from. And then my youngest sister, 3-4 years.
So obviously, you have brothers, and then there's not that many co-ed leagues, but did you guys play at all in the same teams? Ever?
We never played on the same teams, but sometimes me and I think my older brother went, and we would play on Sunday with my dad, because it was just like adults that would get together. It wasn't like a Sunday league. They just all kind of knew each other somehow, to my knowledge.
They all met at the park one day.
Yeah.
And they started playing soccer.
So they all started playing. So I used to go play. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. There's this, I work for like certain parks and stuff, and there's like parks all the time, especially Sundays. Yeah, there'll be just 40 dudes, and you're just like, how do you guys all know each other? And you just come and play soccer. It's crazy. But I mean, it's part of the sport, and that's what I think is cool about soccer. It's like, if you want a full team, obviously that's better. But like, you could really play with, you just shorten the field a little bit. You play with like 5 people on each team or something. Same thing like basketball. Like, I go out to a park, and if the basketball court's there, I'm next. And we're either playing 3-on-3, 4-on-4, or 5-on-5. Same thing with soccer. It's one of those sports. You just throw some cleats on, and
Yeah.
Hey, your kids want to play because we need someone.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. And that must have been a good experience, and must have helped you a little bit, right? You're playing against adults. Do you think that had anything to do with you now being, a good soccer player?
I do think that helped a little bit, because I had to learn how to play with people that like weren't my age and weren't my physicality, obviously, because it was mainly men. And so it was like 14-year-old me like trying to play with them. Obviously, they weren't going 100%, because that'd be kind of messed up to go 100% against a 14-year-old girl. Exactly.
A 14-year-old girl.
So, but it definitely helped me, I think, get smarter. And my dad, like, he was that coach kind of. He was always telling me stuff, always helping me. So he really helped my soccer IQ as far as like how I think about soccer and how I view the game. And his dad also knows soccer a lot. Like he used to go play too on Sundays until he used to end up just running after once he got to a certain age, because he got older.
Yeah.
But they used to call him coach because he like knew so much. So both him and my dad, they kind of influenced me a lot in that aspect.
That's cool. Did your dad ever actually coach one of your teams?
He never coached my team, but he did coach my sister's team when she was really young. But yeah, in club they had this thing where like a parent can't coach a team. So.
That's actually smart, because it's usually the opposite. Usually the first person they ask is the parents of the team. They're like, hey, does any parents want to coach? Because we don't have anybody who wants to volunteer.
Yeah, for the lower levels, they do that. But once you got to like the more competitive, they're like, okay, yeah. Then it gets a little bit personal.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different now. I don't think they're as strict, but it might depend on the coach and if they're able to separate that.
Yeah,
well.
I mean, part of it is like, I think the hard thing for the parent must be hard, like, what if my kid just isn't as good as these other kids, So like, how do you differentiate that? You don't want, say you're a mom or a dad, like you don't want your family to be like, dude, you're not even playing your own kid, But at the same time, you also have to separate, and be the good coach. And it's not that, especially when you're younger, it doesn't really matter, right? You want everyone to play and have fun, but at a certain level, right, it gets pretty serious, and you have to make sure you're, making the right call for the team, not just for your own child. So yeah, it's probably better just to avoid that stuff at a certain age. But that's cool. It's cool to know that your dad at least was, a huge influence in you playing soccer, and and try to help you out growing up. When did you know, like, at some point, like, I'm gonna keep playing soccer? Like, when did you feel like I fell in love with this sport? Or did you ever really make that decision, or did you just kind of keep playing and you're like, oh, I'm in college now playing soccer?
I don't think I ever felt like, oh, like I'm now like in love with the sport. I feel like I've always really loved the sport, because I also played tennis a little bit over a couple summers, and that was really fun and everything. But it was always like, oh, okay, I'm going from tennis to soccer practice. Like I was never gonna skip soccer practice for tennis, or I hardly ever skipped soccer practice for anything, or soccer games or anything. Because I remember there was weekends people were like, oh, like you can just skip a game and like come to this birthday party, and I was like, no, I can't. Why am I gonna skip a game?
Yeah.
So it was just something I always was committed to, and something my parents also kind of reinforced. Like, you made this commitment, like you have to follow through. Like, you knew that you were gonna have to sacrifice some things, and I just always saw it as like something I was committed to and that I always loved. So.
Yeah, and your priority. Did you ever have moments though? I mean, I know, especially younger as a kid. Like, did you ever have moments where you felt like maybe it was your parents making you do it, and you just kind of were going along with it, or did you always feel like, no, this is my decision, I'm playing soccer because I like it?
I think I always felt like it was my decision to play soccer. I know that my parents had put me in it, but like I said, I always just loved playing and being there. I never felt like, oh, my parents are making me go to practice, and like my parents are making me do this. I mean, maybe a couple times if it was like I'm missing something that seems really cool, and they're like, no, like you have to go to practice.
Yeah,
but
wow,
that
my
wasn't,
cousins are going to Disneyland.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm going to soccer practice.
Yeah, but it wasn't very often. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just curious and trying to like, I'm kind of wondering, because I know sometimes that can happen, where maybe you didn't love it. Just as a younger kid, obviously now you're playing it as an adult, and this is your decision. You're a college athlete, But maybe as a kid, I was wondering if you just had any struggles where like maybe you thought, it wasn't your thing, but you just kept doing it anyways because you don't want to go against your parents. But it's good to know you loved it anyways. Did you have any pets growing up?
Yeah, I had a black lab. His name was Tipper, and it's really funny because the only reason we called him Tipper, or my parents called him Tipper because they got him before they had kids, is the tips of his feet and the tips of his tail were white, and the rest of him was black. But he was the best dog, like the best, nicest dog ever. Would go out, and then we'd be like, "You have to come back," and then he would just come back in. And now we have 3 Chihuahuas, which is very different from Black Lab.
Very different, yeah.
But they're also super cute. And one of them we had while we had our lab, and she just picked up all his, like, nice qualities. She's the chillest Chihuahua you probably will ever meet. Like, doesn't bark, super friendly.
I was about to say, yeah, they're the craziest, loudest dogs. My dog is a terrier, but they know she's mixed with something. When we got her, they said, yeah, she's mixed with something, we just don't know. And me and my family always joke, we're pretty sure it's a Chihuahua because she barks at everything. There's a little sound, she'll just get up and bark. And she's like, always twitchy and anxious. That's how a lot of Chihuahuas are, So I think she's mixed with a Chihuahua. But 3 Chihuahuas, what are their names?
So we have Lucy and Ricky, and then we have Maya. So Lucy and Ricky is kind of from, I don't know if you know I Love Lucy.
Yes.
Yeah, so we had Lucy first, and we're like, well, we got to name him Ricky. So now we have
that's
Lucy.
cute. Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
And then the last one you said?
Maya.
It was just...
Yeah, she was originally my aunt's dog, and then she moved to an apartment and she couldn't have it, so we took her in, and so now we have Maya.
That's cool. Yeah, you don't do people judge you for having human names for your dog? Because I've gotten that a couple times.
Really?
Yeah,
no, I've never gotten that.
It's a name.
Like,
it's like my child. I have to name it, something a name that I
exactly.
like. My dog's name is Jeannie with a J. The Lakers owner's name is Jeannie Buss. That's part of it. And then me and all my brothers, we start with a J, our names.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're trying to keep it going. My oldest brother already kept it going. He has 4 kids, and they all start with a J. So we're trying to keep it going. We'll see how long it goes. There's only so many names with a J.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. And, sometimes you come across a nice name. We're like, I don't know, maybe I want to name my kid something, like, I don't know, nicer than, something with a J.
Yeah.
But we'll try to keep it going. We'll see how committed we are to it. But that's cool. It's cute that you have those little dogs. And you had a dog growing up. I always just ask because I'm like, I would just wonder if you're a pet person,
Oh, definitely a huge pet person.
Dogs over cats, obviously.
Well, I always wanted a cat, but my parents never wanted a cat.
Me
then
too.
I kind of got scared of cats because my grandparents had one, and she was super, super mean. Like, very mean. So then I was like, maybe I actually don't want a cat.
That's the hard thing about cats is like you either get the cutest one ever that's like super adorable and loves you, or you get the one that's evil and hates you and just wants you to feed them and that's
There's
it.
like no
Leave
in
them
between.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. Every cat I've ever met, there's no in between. You said you played a little bit of tennis growing up. Did you play any other sports?
I've played volleyball for fun, but that was mostly just with friends. But that was a lot of fun. I used to play in high school mostly because I had friends that are triplets, and all 3 of them played volleyball, so we could kind of just play like just us.
Yeah, 2v2.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. But mostly it was soccer was my thing. Tennis probably for like 4 or 5 summers I used to play, but it got to the point where I was like, well, I can't really keep going with tennis because it'll interfere with soccer. But yeah, that was mostly it. My siblings played other sports, but I'm soccer all the way.
Obviously, being in Orange County, were you a Disneyland person?
Oh, I love Disneyland.
Was it like your family have a, every summer thing or
I wish. Doing that, it's just so expensive.
It is. It really
yeah.
is.
My parents are like, we used to take you guys all the time when you were kids. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't remember that.
Yeah, when I was 4. And
yeah, when I was free.
Yeah. Yeah, when it was free to get in. Exactly. I love Disneyland. My brother recently was telling me that his fiance, she's like, I don't know why people go as adults. And I was like, what do you mean? You got to go as an adult. It's actually more fun now as an adult to like fully experience everything. I love Star Wars. Now they have Star Wars Land. I'm like, you got to go and experience it. But even California Adventure now, it's like they have alcoholic drinks and like good food.
Well, now they have Marvel too, so if you're into Marvel.
They have Marvel stuff. Yeah, I love it. I don't know. But I guess there are some people who go above and beyond, the Disney adults.
Yeah.
To judge them a little bit.
I love Disney, but I don't think I'm a Disney adult. I'm an adult who enjoys Disney.
Yeah,
but,
I feel the same way.
Yeah, I don't consider myself one of those Disney adults.
Yeah, I don't know about the pins or like the secret Mickey Mouse, and I don't really care about the secret Mickey Mouse logos or
I'm
anything.
there for the vibes.
Have you gone recently as an adult?
I haven't been since before COVID. So
okay.
my senior night, my grad night, yeah, that was the last time I went. That was a lot of fun though.
It went during my grad night and I didn't go.
Oh.
It was like a thing where I was like, I don't know if I should go. It's a long story why I didn't know if I should go. And when I finally decided and I asked my parents for the money, I went and they're like, oh yeah, we sold out. I'm like, how? There's like 500, 700 kids that go. Like at the end of the day, there's like multiple schools. I'm like, what do you mean you sold out? Yeah. I went to the school. They should have enough tickets for me. Yeah, so they sold out when I just finally decided to go and I just couldn't go.
Dang,
it was horrible.
That sucks.
Pretty sad. Pretty sad. It looked fun, but it is what it is. What was I going to ask you next? I asked about Disneyland. How did you end up, like, so when you went and you were playing club soccer, right, in middle school, I'm assuming? Dang, we can hear those cars. You were playing club soccer in middle school, I'm assuming, and then so you made it up to high school. Did you get, like, recruited by any high schools, or did you just go to a public school, your closest public school?
I was actually homeschooled. So I've been homeschooled kindergarten through graduation of high school. So I never went to public school or private school.
That's crazy.
Yeah, most people don't know that. And they're like, you were homeschooled?
Yeah.
You're not weird.
I just asked about your childhood. You didn't say anything about that. That's a huge thing to leave out. So you're homeschooled from kindergarten to high school.
All the way.
Wow, that's crazy. So obviously it's normal to you.
Yeah.
But what was that experience like? Did you have your parents teach you, or was it outside teachers that would come in?
So for elementary school, it was my mom. So my mom did basically everything. And for all four of her kids, so all of my siblings, we were all homeschooled all the way through. My sister's the last one in high school right now. I think she still has 2 years left. But like the rest
You're
of us,
like, I don't know, because she's at home.
I'm like, wait, how old is she? Yeah.
That's
I think she
crazy.
has 2 years left. So my mom did everything in elementary school. Once we got to junior high, we took one English class outside at like Biola has a Biola homeschool thing where they teach classes for homeschoolers.
It's like a building or something? Or
Yeah, so they just offer some classes. So I only took English. My brother took math and English. That was our first time taking like outside class, like legit outside classes.
was it just you and the teacher, or was it like
It was
other kids?
actually like a classroom.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so
Was that fun? Was it like when you found out you were going to do that, was it exciting, or was it like, I don't want to go somewhere?
It was kind of nerve-wracking because I'd never been in like a classroom setting. I had taken other classes like art or like the fun ones when you're younger, but it wasn't like a legit English, math, science class, something like that.
So were you more scared about the grading, or?
I was more nervous just like, how is it going to work? Like, do teachers call on you? Like, what do they do? I was so used to just smaller groups of everything, but after we started class, like, it was pretty easy. And I like English, so it was like,
So
I'm an
out.
English major. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so once I, like, kind of got in the group, I was like, I kind of like this.
So when you're at home, do you guys have, like, a setup of, like, this is the classroom of the house?
So, we had, like, a set area where we had all our books and everything. My mom made us pretty self-sufficient from a young age. So when we were younger, obviously she had to watch us, but once we got to a certain age or grade, we were able to check like, what we're going to do today, and then we do it, and she would just check on us and make sure we did our work.
Any questions you have?
Yeah, or be there when we had tests and quizzes so we didn't cheat because like then that's kind of pointless.
yeah.
So,
Obviously
but
don't cheat.
so once we got self-sufficient, she kind of just oversaw everything as opposed to teaching us, which honestly helped. I've told my friends, like, it helps once I got to high school and once I got to college because I basically had been doing that since I was young.
Yeah, and then you're like teaching yourself, and especially now, like in college, I feel like right now, like post-pandemic Zoom, it's like there's so many classes where teachers basically are like, or professors are basically like, teach yourself.
Yeah.
Teach yourself, asynchronous. I'm not going to have any Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And I hate it, but that's not because I'm not used to that. I grew up since kindergarten, preschool, with a teacher standing in front of me, calling on me and making sure I'm not on my phone. Like right now with these Zoom meetings, like I'm not going to lie, I was like, playing video games on the side, just not paying attention. And then, kind of struggling really to keep up and catch up with school. So it must have been, this transition must have not really hurt you too much.
It was really interesting because I hadn't even thought about that until I talked to some friends and they're like, oh yeah, you're like used to it then, right? Because you did online school. I never did online school, but like because we were so self-sufficient, like unless we needed to be taught, my mom didn't, like she would teach us, but she didn't have to like in a classroom where you're always being taught. So once we transitioned to online, it was kind of the same thing. Like I keep a planner, like I was in charge of making sure I knew when things are due, when to have them done by, and it was kind of reminiscent of when I was younger. So
this
it
is
wasn't that different.
Elementary school,
Yeah.
light work. Well, that's really interesting. And obviously you're playing sports, you have neighbors, so the social aspect you still have.
Yeah, people always ask that. They're like, so did you have friends? Like, were you a loner? I was like, I wasn't a loner. Like my parents made sure, like we did sports, we went to classes, I did dance when I was like 5 or 6. We did swim. Like, I mean, we had our neighbors, and then we also took classes at our church. So that was like the fun classes, like art, like I don't know, other stuff like. I
So
can't think of
you're
it.
around other kids your age.
Yeah.
At times, maybe not as often as everybody else, but you're still experiencing that. You're still socializing. I think that's super important. I met. I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club, a local Boys and Girls Club in my area, and I loved going there. It was fun. Obviously, get more social. Stuff. I go to school all day, with my friends, and then I have a different set of friends now at this Boys and Girls Club. It was cool because I would meet people from all the local areas, all the local like elementary schools and stuff, or high schools when I got to high school. And so now when I got to high school, it was like, oh, I know people from this high school, all over the place. So it was cool to see. I would go to basketball games and know people from the Boys and Girls Club. So that was cool. But one of the years I was at the Boys and Girls Club, 2 kids came in. They were homeschooled, and the staff kind of told us like they're kind of homeschooled, so be nice to them, And we can tell they were different. Like honestly, they were different, but they didn't look like they were athletes, so they probably didn't play too many sports. And their parents might have been, just a little overprotective, which happens, I'm sure. And so they were a little bit different. I'm not gonna say they were weird; they were normal in their own way, but they were different for sure. And you can notice it. And as kids, we were kind of like thrown off by it. Like, whoa, we can tell that these kids are. They're not antisocial. They were like trying to make friends, but they were a little out there.
Yeah,
they didn't have social cues of like, hey, let's chill out and not scream right now.
Yeah, you can totally tell sometimes because I remember. So we had like in high school we had a homeschool group and we meet Tuesdays and Fridays for classes. So it's kind of like college. Like you go twice a week for class, do your homework, and everything. But it was a bunch of homeschoolers, and so some of them you could tell like, okay, yeah, like you're homeschooled. Like you give off that typical homeschool vibe. And then some of us, it was like, oh, like if you were out, like you would kind of never know. Yeah. But I think that also was because we also had been around each other for so long. We were just normal around each other. But some of the new people that came in were kind of a little bit like, yeah, you seem a little bit
No, I'm telling you, it's completely threw me off when you told me that you're homeschooled. That's super interesting. Because, and do you feel like... do you feel like you cheated out of anything? Because I know, like, when the pandemic hit, right, a lot of people were like, man, because, like, you didn't get that high school experience to, like, first of all, play on a high school team, right, which is, it's a unique experience in its own right. And then, I mean, I'm sure you guys didn't have dances? And
actually, we did.
You said you had grad night, right?
We had grad night, and they actually put together, like, a prom kind of spring formal. So it wasn't only seniors because it was a homeschool group. So, like, my graduating class was, like, 22 people.
Oh, okay.
So they couldn't really just do 22 people.
Yeah.
So the whole school would go, and then they gave us, like, invitations. So seniors could invite, like, 4 people, juniors, like, 3 people.
So you just had like a bunch of your close friends.
Yeah,
at this
so you
dance?
could invite friends. So friends from other schools, like if you went to public school before, or just from the church, or any friends that you had, and then we would have a dance at the end of the night. But it was pretty fun because we did stuff before. Yeah. I think because it was such a small group. So like one year we did a scavenger hunt in downtown Fullerton.
Oh wow!
And then another year we went to downtown Disney and did a scavenger hunt and ate there at Rainforest Cafe before it was taken away.
I know. I know. I thought about that recently. I went and I was like, what? Where is the Rainforest Cafe?
Yeah.
As if I go all the time. Right?
Like, oh, that's so sad.
I've gone once when I was like, since I've been 15, I think I've gone once.
That was the only time I went.
Yeah. But I loved it. It was cool. I mean, but honestly, now that you think about it, it's kind of a crazy place. There's like leaves everywhere, and it's like, it is kind of unique. Yeah. But shout out to Rainforest Cafe. So you would do that, and then you go to the dance at night.
Yeah.
And you guys would you guys wear like prom dresses?
Yeah.
and stuff?
So we dressed up so everyone was like, oh man, you don't get any like dances or anything. I was like, well, we actually got to dress up, and it was really fun. It's
funny because it's not on purpose, but it's like naturally I'm like jealous. It's like, I think that's where everyone else is like, oh, but you probably didn't have this and this and this. You're like, well, I kind of had some of it, and they're like all mad at you about it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, dude, you get it. You had a perfect life. You stayed home every day and went to school forever.
People would always be like, oh, so you get to sleep in all the time. But my mom, like, no, she made sure her thing was always like prepare us for college. So we never slept in. I mean, probably compared to other people, it was like sleeping in, but we'd get up maybe like 8 the latest.
Yeah.
And so like she made sure we didn't sleep until like 12 every day, and then just like slack off and stay up super late. I mean, if we stayed up late, that was on our choice at a certain age. But when we were younger, she's like, okay, get up, do homework, and then you have the rest of the day.
No, yeah, it still is a pretty cool. It sounds like a pretty cool experience. Sounds like your mom did it right, and the homeschool group, for them to put the effort forward to have a lot of stuff for you guys. It's actually pretty cool because, it sounds like you didn't miss out on anything.
Yeah, I think the only thing I wanted was to play high school soccer. I was like, please, I want to play high school, because all my friends in club would go play. So for like 3 months, I would just like run on my own. And as a high schooler, that's kind of sad. But
no, for sure. And then you feel like it's the fear of missing out. You feel like, wow, my other teammates are having their own little experiences, and I'm not. But I mean, it's not overrated. It was obviously for me, like as a basketball player, it was the best 4 years of my life playing basketball. But at the same time, it's just it has its ups and downs.
Yeah, it was definitely conflicting because teammates would be like, "Oh, I love like my high school team," and other ones would be like, "No, they suck. All we do is run."
Exactly.
And they would come in and they're like, "And I'm not even fit, so I don't even know why we're running."
Exactly. I went to 2 different high schools. The first high school I went to, they were really, really like run a lot and yell at you, and and I hated basketball, playing for them, to be honest. And then I transferred 2 years, and then I had the worst. I mean, no disrespect if anyone from my high school ever listens to this, but I didn't like it was a polar opposite. I don't want to grill him for that, but it was such a polar opposite that it was like this coach goes too hard at my first school. They're like, you need to chill a little bit. And this coach doesn't go hard enough, And so it was this polar opposite where I was like, man, this sucks, So I had this experience where I wasn't playing a lot on a good team, and now I'm on a bad team kind of, and I'm kind of playing a lot, but we kind of suck, and the coach isn't really helping us out too much and stuff. But the one thing I did benefit from that was I saw the 2 coaching polar opposites, and I was like, okay, I want to use a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and now I'm a basketball coach. I actually have my first practice tomorrow as a basketball coach.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start coaching high school basketball, which is fun and exciting. And so I pulled from that, so that was cool. But yeah, it's up in the air. It depends, what high school you end up going to. What if the drama with other teammates, or just you go to a public school and then you got to worry about just a lot of public school BS stuff, that just isn't fun. So, it just depends really. So maybe it was the right choice for you to end up staying home. So you're home, and did you get all your recruiters come from? Did you get any recruiters for soccer, and did they come to your club games?
Yeah, I did actually. So I had a couple colleges that would talk to me while I was still in high school, to recruit me. But, I had some. They just recruited from club. Because some coaches will go to club games, some go to high school games, some go to both. I think it really just depends on what you're looking for, especially with NCAA, because you can only talk to them at a certain age, which is kind of frustrating. I remember being in high school and I was like, what the heck, why can't they talk to me? Like, I'm reaching out to them, I'm not hearing anything. How am I supposed to know if anything's working? So that was frustrating on its own. That's a different conversation. But yeah, so it was mostly just my club games. But I had a good club team, so that helped.
So when you were playing club, right, you're like, say you start in high school, 14, 15 years old. Did you already know, and obviously, and you could try to say this in the humblest way. I'm trying to ask this question to make you sound not like you're bragging, but did you feel at a young age like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good and I'm going to make it somewhere? Or was it kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm scoring enough goals, or if I don't know if I'm playing well enough.
When I was younger, it was kind of like, oh, I'm just playing because it's fun. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good. And then I got older and I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm good, because sometimes some colleges would contact you and you're like, no, I think I'm better than that. I think I can do better than
I gotcha.
Than that kind of college.
Like, sorry, bro, nobody knows Kansas. I'm sorry. But
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, D7.
Sometimes from the middle of nowhere, you're like, oh, I think I can do better than that. No offense to those colleges.
No, of course.
I think they have
if you play at that
right.
level, for me, I don't even say anything because I played 4 years of high school. My 4th year, I was averaging 2 points a game probably, So I probably couldn't even made it to the middle of nowhere Kansas team, to be honest. But so to those people who do make it there, and I've always said this, even for us here at CSULA, it's kind of my motivation for doing the show. We're not USC, we're not UCLA, we're not these huge schools in LA, but we have such talented people here, because it's so hard to even get here to CSULA, and some people for some reason look down upon it, and it just depends on who you're talking to. But for the people who do look down upon it, it's like, what, how? Because it's very difficult to even get to this level.
Yeah.
Let alone those other schools, like you said. But some of the schools you were like, okay, maybe not here. What was when you first started thinking about college? What was the first school? Because obviously you said Fullerton. I know that came into your mind, but that's more of to me, it seems like a more realistic option. Did you think about some kind of big school, huge D1 college that you were like, maybe there is my dream?
I always liked kind of UCLA. It was just like, it's UCLA. So
yeah.
But I always kind of knew, I was like, well, I didn't really want to go to a big school either, just because I'm on the quieter end of people. And I was like, that's not really my vibe.
Yeah.
So it was like, yes, if it happens.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, I'm not going to be totally bummed out. Yeah, exactly. But Cal State Fullerton was definitely probably higher on my list, just because
it's close.
Yeah, I was close to home. They had a good soccer program. they had my degree, because I had a school reach out to me once. They're like, we don't have like what you want to major in, but you can still come play. And I was like, well, that's kind of why I'm going to school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of
The school part still matters.
yeah,
for
the
sure.
school part still matter. Like I'm sure there's some athletes that are like, yeah, I'll do whatever. But at least for me, it was like I want to major in what I want to major in.
Yeah.
So, but I think now I have a different perspective. Kind of like you were saying, like I think anyone that plays college athletics is impressive because it's hard to get to that point and to just kind of get through it. So I think at any level, I think there's more prestige that comes with like, D1s and D2s, some D2s. So
yeah,
but I think any level is.
Yeah, any level is impressive. And then, to commit to the time, even to go, like I was at community college and like when I first graduated high school, I went to Rio Hondo College. Love Rio Hondo. Shout out to Rio Hondo. But I thought about it. Over the summer I gained weight and I just wasn't working out at all. I felt like it was funny. I joke with people when I graduated in 2016, so a few years ago. When I graduated, Kobe retired. And I was like, yeah, me and Kobe retiring the same year because I'm done. That was 4 years of basketball and my body felt like tired. I was like, I don't want to work out ever again. It was so weird. So when the summer came around and I started deciding going to Rio Hondo College, I was thinking about it, but like the idea of like committing, to like I'm gonna work, and stuff, and then to commit to going to school, and then finishing school while trying to play a sport, even at the community college level, let alone go again, D2, D1, whatever. It's a lot of work, and a lot of commitment. And you're not getting paid, for it. So that's the hardest thing too. Is like, So yeah, I think you got to respect any college athlete for sure. So when did you start hearing about Cal LA? Like when did it start? Obviously, you said you went to a different school. We talked about this before the show, but you talked about going to a community college, right?
Yeah. So I went to Fullerton College, and like you said,
when was that decision made for you?
That decision was made honestly like at the end of my senior year because I was debating because I wanted to go to Vanguard originally, but they were like really expensive and I don't have a lot of money. So there was like another couple schools that were talking to me too, but I was kind of less interested in them just because I never really wanted to go far away. So one of them was in New York and it was like, that's kind of far. So
opposite side of the country.
Yeah, it was a little bit far.
Yeah.
So that one was kind of made at the end because I knew the coach and he'd been trying to get me to go there because he coached at my club. He coached the guys' side and the girls' team that was a year younger than me. So he knew me because sometimes we would train together, whatever, because our coaches were friends. And so he's been trying to get me to go. He was like, just come out for a summer, and if you don't like it, then, like, you don't have to play, right? But I still want to play soccer, and at that point I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go. So I was like, okay, fine. Like, I'll come out for the summer, and if I don't like it, then maybe I'll just, play for fun for the first year while I go to school, which was kind of, like, sad. But at the same time, club was getting a little bit rough. Like, we had team separation issues, like coaches leaving. So it just made soccer kind of like lose its fun. I don't know, the aspect that I loved where it was different from everything else and I could go and just enjoy the time. So it was a really rough time in my life, like deciding like, do I even want to keep playing soccer? Because it's so rough right now. And then I went and I loved it. Like I loved the summer. It was just so fun. It was a totally different atmosphere because everyone was in college and it wasn't high school anymore. It was like everyone's on their own, doing their own thing. And if you want to hang out, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too.
Yeah. And I'm sure in club, like there's a lot of girls who are just in club just to be in club, like maybe not as committed to playing soccer or maybe some of them are, but, just, you have those ups and downs. But when you get to college level, they're trying really hard. And like I said, community college, I feel like takes an even extra step of commitment because you can go to community college for a semester and then just completely fall. It happens a lot. Actually, that probably happens to most community college students. They just stop even going to class, let alone going to soccer practice, So, you have a committed team if they're going to be there at community college. So that's cool. And so you loved it. You fell in love with it. It sucks that you have that drama at the club, but like I was telling you, like I think at the high school level, it's just what happens, eventually. Yeah. So that I got to the club, but you go, you love it, and then how did your family feel about you deciding to go to community college? Was it positive, or was it kind of like, oh, you don't want to check out these other schools that are making offers?
Well, my mom actually went to Fullerton College as well, and she had worked there, so she was totally fine with it. She was like, yeah, I mean, I went there, I loved it, and you save money because it's community college. Like I didn't really pay anything except for my books the first 2
I tell
years of
everybody,
school.
I'm like, you guys understand, like, go to community college. It's
Yeah.
like, if you can get into a 4-year, get into a 4-year. And obviously, if you can afford it, cool, you know? But if you're struggling or thinking about it, I'm always like, just go to community college. It was so cheap.
Yes.
I actually ended up staying there for 4 years, which was ridiculous. I shouldn't have. But just not being focused. But I stayed there for 4 years, and I was free the whole time I was there, pretty much. It was just covered completely by financial aid. I wasn't paying for anything. So it was great, great experience. I loved it. I felt like it did kind of feel, I mean, obviously you didn't have the high school experience, but to me it did kind of feel like high school 2.0. And some people look down upon that for some reason. But I was like, to me, it felt like a better bridge to college. Like it helped me realize, okay, this is high school 2.0 to an extent, because they're kind of not babying you, but the professors are a little more willing to like, all right, where do you need help with what and stuff, and be a little more, depending on who you have, obviously, at least at Rio Hondo College, the professors were like that. And then they were a little more like helpful. And then on top of that, you're saving all this money, and it helps you grow up a little bit. Like they're holding your hand a little bit, but they're also like, you got to hurry up and figure this out for yourself, because I can only help you so much, as an individual. So it was a pretty cool bridge, and that's why I recommend to everybody. I had a recent friend of mine, actually, one of my friend's neighbors. He really smart, probably could have got into any school he wanted to. He's trying to be a doctor and everything, so he's very smart, very on top of his schooling, and he decided himself to go to Rio Hondo just for it to be cheap, and then he transferred to UCLA. So he's there at UCLA now. So yeah, I recommend to everybody.
Yeah,
community college.
I
is
love
the way.
community college, even for because I coach high school. I'm like, some of them wanted to keep playing soccer after. Like, well, if you are looking at places and like if you can't afford places, or like if you just want to stay close to home, like go to community college. Like they have teams. I was like, and you can get out, because like look at me, like I went there, and now I'm here at Cal State LA. So it's not like you're gonna be stuck there forever or not play anywhere.
You're a student, you're an athlete, and you're coaching on the side. How is that balance wise? How are you balancing that schedule out? Is it tough? Do you have hard days, or have you been kind of managing it well?
Well, I don't coach at the moment, because high school soccer is only in the winter. And so I was able to, when I started coaching, I told them, I was like, hey, my season takes priority. So as soon as my season is done, then I will come over. But I can't tell you when my season will be done. So I just know the latest, I tell them this is the latest that it will go. So that will be as soon as I can get there, unless, we just don't make it, which is not what's going to happen.
Not the goal. Yeah, you're
exactly.
like, well, so this is the latest, and probably this is the one. We're going to champion. This is the championship date. That's what I'm going to tell you guys.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell them I've been coaching there for 4 years now. I want to say this is my 5th year. So since...
Assistant coaching or your head coaching?
Assistant coaching. Okay. And then this year, we are co-head coaches, because there's a lot of stuff that happened last year. And so now we're kind of just coaching together. So it's not quite assistant. We make decisions together, do a lot together. Obviously, right now, she's making most of the decisions. She'll just fill me in. But once I get there, then we coach together.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, so that's a big commitment in itself. I'm realizing that now. Like I said, I'm barely about to start coaching. So I don't have the athletics on the side to worry about. But I'm already like stressing a little bit. Like, oh, man, I got to make sure I get there and commit. Because my thing I've coached before a little bit in the past. And I committed like full time. Like I just like, that's my priority. Obviously I need to focus on school. This is my last semester, hopefully, if I pass my classes. So obviously I need to focus on that, but I'm excited to get started on coaching, because I want to commit to, the team and stuff and focus on that. I'm just a little nervous about time management,
Yeah.
Super scary.
It's a big commitment, and especially if you're a head coach, because there's a lot more that you have to do behind the scenes that I wasn't totally, because I started off as an assistant. So I would just show up after my season ended, and I was like, okay, guys, I'm here. And I just show up to practices, and that was it. But they wanted me to be the head coach, but I told them, I was like, because I'm still in school and because I'm still playing soccer, I don't want to make that commitment and not be able to give my 100%, because it's not something I would want to do. And I was like, that's not fair to me. That's not fair to the girls. It's not fair to you guys. So it's not fair to anyone. So I would rather just, I want to be here and help, but I can't commit.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, I think I would have said no to my coaching job if I had one more semester after this. Like, I knew for sure. Because I was like... Because I know now it's like basketball is kind of going to be like winter, but it really starts in January.
Yeah,
So it's like I have to make sure I balance the practices and stuff now. But then once I'm done, and I can just focus on that in January. So that's the only reason why. But yeah, because it's tough. It's otherwise. Especially as a head coach, like you said. I'm about to be the head coach, so it's a little bit... a daunting task, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's exciting though. But yeah, I definitely feel that, because last year I coached, and so usually our soccer team, when I came in, we weren't very good, and so that's why they had kind of hired new coaches. Like, okay, let's see if we can
Make the team better.
Yeah, exactly. So we were actually doing better. So last year we made it to playoffs. We made it to second or third round of playoffs.
That's good.
But my semester had started. And so I was still in soccer and we had spring season. I was like, okay, so I'm going to come when I can. And it was most of the time. I had one class that I think interfered. But that was hard because I had my practices in the morning. We had weights before practices in the spring. And then I still had to go to class. And then I would go to my soccer practice and coach and then come back. And they were long days for probably, I want to say 3, max like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But just that.
Tough still.
It was really tough.
So you must be a fan then of like, please, online classes and like Zoom meetings or no Zoom meetings even.
It's actually really funny because I actually like in-person classes. I just, at least for my major, because like I said, I'm an English major, it just works so much better because so much of our classes is discussion based and that's so hard to get online.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. I'm a communications major.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing ever for you to be like, all right, here's a communications class, but it's asynchronous. I'm like, so I'm not even going to talk to the professor, like, let alone my classmates. And then I kind of want to flex my muscle because I feel like you give me assignments and you give me homework and I just have to do that. That's when I look like a bad student because I'm just not good at just doing the homework, you know? Mm-hmm. But if I can show you in person, like, all right, let me make a presentation and let me show you that I can speak and I can communicate. And I've learned these skills over the last 6 years, literally, of taking, speech classes at community college and now communications classes in here. I want to flex that muscle and it sucks to not be able to, So I always prefer in person. But then I actually this semester had a little bit of a weird feeling of I have appreciation for the online because when the schedule gets busy, I'm like, all right, cool. Well, at least I don't have to go to this class.
Yeah,
I have to do the assignments and it still sucks and it's still hard, but at least I don't have to go to that class.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about online. I definitely appreciate. I think like you said, this semester I appreciate that a little bit more.
Yeah,
just because I feel like my schedule has been busier because now I'm in the master's program for English. Wow. Yeah, I graduated in the spring.
Oh, cool. Congrats.
Thank you. And I had one more season left of soccer, and I was like, well, I want to get my master's anyway, so I'm still going to play. Mm-hmm. But it's harder. So it's just a little bit more difficult. So then it takes more time, especially all the readings, because my classes right now are theory, and theory is not my forte. Yeah. And it just takes a long time to comprehend.
I'm about to get my bachelor's degree, and I'm pretty much 99.5% sure I'm not going to try to get my master's, at least for now. To once I graduate, let me take at least a break, because I saw my dad. My dad had got his bachelor's from CSULA, and obviously years ago, and he became a teacher, and so he taught for 30 years or 20 years and 25 years, and then he decided to get his master's. So as an adult, as a college student, I watched him get his master's, and I remember just watching him. I would come home no matter what time I'm coming home, 8 a.m. Come back home at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m., he's on the laptop computer typing and doing stuff, right? In meetings with, the people in his class. And I was, watching him, yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that at all. Stay here all day? You kidding me? I need to do one assignment. Give me an hour. I'll do that assignment, and then I'm gone. I got to do other stuff. I can't just sit and do the work. So maybe in, a few years, I'll revisit the idea of a master's. Because I feel like nowadays it's such an important thing to do. Yeah. But I need a break. No, I can't do that. It's too much work. So I can't even imagine the work you have to commit to. Especially English. He was an English major too. So.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then he just read a lot. People are always like, oh my gosh, you must write so much. And I was like, actually, it's a lot less writing than you think.
It's a lot of reading.
Yes. I think because my friends will say, oh, I have this essay, I have this essay. And I was like, wow, you guys write more essays than I do. And I'm an English major.
Yeah. That's it's tough. Reading is, I hate reading. I mean, maybe it's because we grew up with social media, a little bit of social media and stuff. Reading books officially, actual books on paper, I struggle with it for some reason. I don't know. Compared to I think if I read a book on my phone, maybe it might be easier. I don't know why.
Oh, that's interesting. I am the opposite. I would prefer to read it in paper, in person, as opposed to on my laptop. Yeah. That is, it's so much harder for me to focus. But I've always loved reading. I was that kid at school that had a book at lunch, and if I wasn't talking to friends, then I'm gonna read my book, or I'll read a 400-page book in less than a week.
Wow, so you like reading? Yeah. No, I'm not a fan. I joke with people all the time. I say it as a joke, but I might not even be joking. I think I've literally read 2 books in my life. I actually read the book completely from cover, and not my teacher making me read the book.
Just for fun.
For fun, yeah. Probably read 2. And one of them is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, so I don't think it counts. For
Yeah,
most people.
I'm like the opposite of that.
I don't know what it is. I get bored. I mean, I like reading. That's crazy. I like it. I like stories. I don't want to say I like reading. I like stories. So I love movies. Like right now, I love movies. But I don't like sitting there and like for 30. When I was a kid, they were like 30-minute reading time.
Yeah.
I would just like read for 5 minutes and then just kind of pretend like I'm reading for the next 25. It was rough. I don't know why. I just struggled with it always. But speaking of that, I mentioned movies a little bit. Do you have a favorite movie? Let's get to know you a little bit more as a person.
A favorite movie?
It's always a tough question because I feel like there's so many movies out there. So to ask for one, I mean, just a movie that you think maybe you watched the most in your life.
Okay.
Are you a movie person?
I love movies actually.
Okay.
When I'm done reading, my break is to put on something I've seen before, a TV show, a movie that I don't have to focus on because reading is a little bit taxing.
Oh.
Let's see.
Shows is big time for me. I used to, when I was in high school, I would watch my favorite show of all time, How I Met Your Mother.
I've never seen that. I've been told to watch it. I've been told several times.
Have you watched Friends?
I've also been told to watch that.
Okay, no, I'm saying don't watch Friends.
Oh.
Watch How I Met Your Mother first. And everyone who's listening is going to hate me for saying that, but I'm not saying How I Met Your Mother is better. But if you watch Friends first and you fall in love with it, you love Friends, you're not going to like How I Met Your Mother because they're very similar shows. They're different, but they're similar. And so people, it's like Team Edward and Team Jacob with Twilight. You know, it's like if you're a Friends fan, you're not gonna like How I Met Your Mother. It's like some kind of battle we have.
Like the Office and Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
what I hear from people.
exactly.
I love both of them. But
I watch both.
Are one or the other. Usually.
I watch both. I think The Office is way better, and it's funny. I watched Parks and Rec first. And I loved Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And I'm actually working Parks and Rec. So that's my job, my part-time job. So I loved Parks and Rec. But when I watched, I refused to watch The Office. I was like, no, Parks and Rec's probably better anyways. I watched it. Like, I'm not going to watch The Office. I forced myself to watch The Office. Second favorite show of all time. Probably my first, actually. Right next to How I Met Your Mother. They're like tied. Yeah. But anyways, back to movies. Do you have a movie?
Okay, so one of my favorite movies is Phantom of the Opera, which is really like kind of obscure.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just like didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah, I grew up watching it a lot though. Like it was my mom watched it a lot. My aunt would come over and they would watch it, and then I would watch it. And I love musicals. Like I love music and like I like to sing musicals. And all that. I sing. Yeah, I love them. So that's. If I have a top musical, it's probably that one. Like I could probably sing you every line of that song.
That's interesting. That's you know what? That's a unique answer though. I like it. I appreciate that because that's I don't think anyone's ever going to say that the rest of the semester. But like we had Asia Landers on here, a volleyball player. She said Shrek was hers. So I expect you to say something like that.
Shrek is okay. My next one is probably a Marvel movie. So then that one's a little bit more.
What's the Marvel movie?
I love the Captain America movies.
Okay, yeah.
Those ones are
classic.
For exactly.
Sure. And then obviously finishing all the Marvel movies. I think watching Endgame was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
To watch a movie like that was insane. So that was super fun. I'm kind of tired of Marvel movies right now though. It's just me.
I used to watch them like just to pass time, but I actually haven't recently. I think I needed a break.
Well, it's too much for me. Like I watched Endgame, obviously. I try to watch it, even with that first like 10 years, right, of movies, which because it was 10 years. There's like 27 movies, I think, total. I watched probably like 15 to 20. So I watched like most of them, right? But I would miss like the Thor movies, and I watched the Ant-Man movies, things like that. And so I missed, because there's just so many movies, I missed some. Now it's like you got to watch this show, you got to watch that show.
I think that makes it feels like so much more.
Yeah,
just
it's like work.
There's all these shows.
It's homework for me.
Yeah.
You know? It's not even
you
fun.
have to watch this show to understand this movie, and then watch this movie to understand that show.
Yeah, so it's a little too much for me right now, but I have a podcast separately solo where my brother and I do movies and music and stuff, and so Marvel's one of the main things we talk about. So I'm forced to watch a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I try, but yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of them right now. Superheroes, they had their run. It was 10 years, and I'm kind of like, all right, let's move on to something else a little bit. I watched Don't Worry, Darling recently with Harry Styles.
I wanted to see that.
Highly recommend it.
I love Harry Styles.
Me too.
So,
I mean, he's just the best. But I was like a little bit interested because some people that I trust on like TikTok, whatever, that watch movies and they review them, I was like, watching them talk about it, and they're like, they didn't like the movie that much. They said Harry Styles, he was okay as an actor, but I watched it and I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was good. I like Florence Pugh; she was great.
Oh, she's amazing.
Amazing, and it was. I hated Olivia Wilde before going into the movie.
Really?
Obviously, I don't know, you heard the drama, right?
I've heard a little bit about the drama.
So I was like, oh, she looks so mean when I first saw her on screen, and she directed the movie. It's a great movie though. I recommend it. I say like 8 out of 10. Solid
Okay,
movie.
that's pretty good.
Shout out to Harry
One
Styles.
of my best friends saw it, and because she also loves Harry Styles, so originally she went for that, and she's like, it was actually pretty good. And I think I saw one TikTok review that was talking about it.
I'll give you one spoiler, and everyone listening, a little spoiler. It's not a spoiler, really, but there's a part in the movie where Harry Styles looks like a normal guy. Like, imagine if Harry Styles didn't go to be in One Direction, and it's crazy to see him like that. Like, he
Really?
looks like this normal, like, I don't want to say ugly, but he's kind of ugly, ugly, gross dude. And it's like, whoa, imagine if Harry Styles wasn't like, this
That's
amazing
crazy.
singer. To see him like that, they show you, like, see him like that. It's kind of crazy to see.
I'm gonna watch it just for that one moment.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's hard to end the movie, but it's crazy. It's a good movie, too. A lot of twists and stuff, so I recommend that one. What about genre of music? How you on your way to, because you grew up, it's interesting because growing up, I guess I got my music taste from my parents. My dad would bump a lot of hip hop and stuff growing up. I have siblings, brothers, and they'd bump a lot of like Lil Wayne and Drake when I was like, 10, 11, 12, whatever. So I did influence a lot from my family, but I think a little bit of influence comes from friends and stuff. And so considering you're homeschooled, what's your vibe? What's your genre on the way to a soccer game? You're about to you're trying to get hyped up.
Ooh, on the
You're
way to a
bumping in the
soccer
car.
game?
Or just in general, your go-to, but yes, also to hype you up for a soccer game.
Okay, if I was going to a soccer game, I want to say it's reggaeton. So I love Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is
Who doesn't love Bad Bunny?
exactly.
I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. I love Bad Bunny still. I'll sing his songs. I mean, he's a beast.
I love Bad
Don't know
Bunny.
what he's saying, but he's probably not saying anything good.
Yeah,
He's,
you
he's
might
a
not
beast.
want to look up some of the lyrics.
But your coach said the same thing. Your coach said he loves Bad Bunny too.
Really?
And then he actually said he was making fun of our volleyball coach, Juan Figueroa. He's from Puerto Rico. And so he
okay,
loves
okay.
Bad Bunny. So they
Yeah.
were talking, he was joking about it and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll post your coach's interview soon. He actually was asking for it. So I think he's one of the next ones I'm going to post, and I'll probably send you a link to it. So
Okay.
you could check it out.
Yeah, I love Bad Bunny. It really depends on my mood. So sometimes I'm more coffee house vibes, so very chill music.
Lo-fi hip hop?
Yeah, so like when I'm reading, when I'm reading specifically now, I can't listen to music with lyrics because then
Yeah.
it just
No, it's hard,
takes
yeah.
my focus away. So I'll listen to jazz.
Okay.
Yeah, so that helps me focus.
Yeah.
But most of the time,
Typical
it's-
homeschool kid answer. You're like, I like
Yeah,
jazz.
I
You're like, what?
No, you should. My brother is like a musical genius, and
Really?
he'll explain like jazz. Okay, I'm like, okay, I like jazz, but I don't need to know the specifics of it. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
interests you, but to me, it's cool, but it doesn't mean much.
Yeah, I get you.
But
So on the way to the game, you're about to go bump. You said reggaeton,
Yeah.
and then you typically just jazz. Or well, how about you're just driving the car, going to Starbucks real quick, you throw your aux on.
I've actually been listening to a lot of podcasts recently. So, which I didn't used to. I think this last year I really started to listen to more podcasts.
I
But-
fell off of my podcast listening game. I was pretty good for a while. I used to do true crime, and then it got too sad for me. I was like, this is too dark, you know?
Yeah, I started with true crime, and I haven't listened in a little bit. I also live on campus now, and so it's kind of like, well, do I really want to listen to true crime when I'm walking back from my class
late at night.
9 p.m.?
yeah. And this campus is dark. University Times wrote some stories
Yeah.
about it. We don't have lights here
Yeah,
at
we
all.
could use a couple more lights at least for when we get out of class.
It's dark, if you're here till 10 p.m. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. So, but you have a number one podcast you want to shout out real quick? Maybe?
I actually listened to the Bad Broadcast.
Okay.
So
Who's that?
Her name is Maddie Murphy, and she kind of just talks about like whatever sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
she's really funny. She'll talk about kind of like those Reddit threads, It's like she calls it petty princess, and so people will submit stories of like, if they're being really petty.
I love those.
Or if they're like, am I in the wrong type
Yes.
of things. So those
Yeah.
are super interesting.
Am I the jerk? They use a different word, but am I the jerk?
Yeah, exactly.
I
They
love
use
those.
a different word.
I love those, but then I hate that we never get a full conclusion.
Yeah.
Because it's Reddit, so it's like they don't always post a full what happens next, So that's the
Yeah.
only thing I don't like. But I watch them on TikTok. I'll follow some of the pages.
Yeah.
That talk
So
about it.
those had come up on my TikTok, and so
Yeah.
then my friend recommended.
Oh, it's the girl who sits on the couch and she talks about it with her friends a little bit, or no?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't her.
'Cause it's
She
when I see on
doesn't have a
TikTok.
TikTok.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'd seen some on TikTok, and then my friend recommended this podcast, and I was like, oh, this is exactly that. And then I get more because she talks about it.
Yeah.
So she's really funny. I like her podcast.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you have a favorite? We'll end on this. Do you have a favorite artist though? Because we were talking about music obviously earlier. Do you have a favorite go-to? Obviously, you listen to podcasts now, but aside from Bad Bunny, or if Bad Bunny's, is he your favorite artist?
I really like Bad Bunny and Harry Styles. Those got to be my top two.
I liked Harry Styles. I don't know if it was his last album, the one that had She and Cherry
Okay.
on it. I don't know what album that was. Great
That
album.
might have been. fine line.
Not even a Harry Styles fan. She says it's a favorite. And it's not,
I love Harry
albums.
Styles. I've followed him from One Direction days.
Yes, you're OG.
Yes.
You're OG. Did you know in the One Direction days you're like that one's gonna be the guy?
I
He was your favorite?
Yeah,
kinda?
he was my favorite.
Oh, okay. All right. Then you called it then. You know, you can say you kind of found him.
I kind of discovered Harry Styles basically.
A little bit. Do you know your upcoming games by any chance? Because it's gonna take me a second to Google search it. At least your next upcoming. Oh, it's next week.
Yeah, we actually play away. So we play on Friday at Stanislaw.
This Friday?
This Friday.
They're gonna listen to this next Wednesday. Everyone, it's gonna be on the radio next Wednesday. So you remember it now? By any
So
chance?
next Wednesday. So then we play on Thursday at Cal Poly Pomona.
There you go. At Cal Poly Pomona.
At Cal Poly Pomona, I believe at 11:30.
Okay, there you go. If you guys want to make it out to Cal Poly Pomona, a little bit of a drive, but if you can make it out, go support Kaelah. I got to make it out to one of your guys' games. I've interviewed you and your coach, so I'll be out there hopefully sooner rather than later. Thank you so much, Kaelah, for making it out and interviewing with me. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
So there you have it. There was my interview with Kaelah Basurdo of your Cal State LA women's soccer program. I really appreciate Kaelah making it down here again to speak with me and all of us who are out there listening. If you are listening live on Golden Eagle Radio as it is playing on the radio station, shout out to you. I really appreciate you doing that. And if you want to listen later, I do have a YouTube channel now that'll be posting some of my earlier episodes this semester. You can follow me, Joshua Giron, my first and last name, Joshua, last name Giron on YouTube. And I should be the second channel, unfortunately, that pops up. Someone else already more popular than me on YouTube. But check it out. Some of my earlier episodes will be over there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was my show from the Sideline. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. And until next time, I'm out.
I be trying to draw the line, but it's a fine line. And I'm drowning out the noise from the sideline. From the sideline, from the sideline, from the sideline, from the sideline. I be trying to draw the line.